a very price-driven industry, but what matters is the coverage on it.
You're going for throats right now, bro.
Well,
why don't you say it?
That's just a lot of those things.
Welcome back to another episode of Andy's Talk. Today, I'm joined. I feel like I run into you my entire life. It's just been like little pockets of time. But Austin, how are you doing today?
Doing good, brother. Happy to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've known Austin for a long time. I've known all 17 of his siblings as well. I want to ask first. Tell me officially, how many siblings do you have?
We have 11 of us total. I've got 7 sisters and then 3 other brothers.
And where do you fit in that line?
Right in the middle. The glue that holds it all together. Got 5 above me and then 5 below me.
That's what people tell us, that Austin keeps us together. If we didn't have Austin, we'd just fall apart.
Yeah, I feel like I can be the glue in a good situation like that. So it turned out good. I feel like I'm maybe responsible for our family's success so far, but I try not to carry the weight of it.
I try to tell people, it's like, oh, she's a great hairdresser and she has that cool bar. It's Austin. Austin's why this is going. So we recently met back up in our referral group, which has been great. Tell me a little bit about what line of work you're in. We had your boss or the owner of the company on the podcast as well to talk about it a little bit, but what do you specifically do?
Yeah, well, I'm with Innovators Insurance up in Charlestown, and we are an insurance brokerage. So I kind of handle more of the personal line side for your home, auto, umbrella, life insurance. And then Daniel, our owner, he handles the commercial side of it. So business or any of the stuff that you need on that side, that's where I'll send you to because he knows more about it than me. But on the home and auto side, I'm kind of the guy to talk to.
Yeah. And then in the referral group, you kind of talk a little bit about some crazy stories or like sometimes that you've helped homeowners out. Do you have like 1 or 2 of those that you could share?
Yeah, we've got a couple unique ones that have come up. So we're big on coverage, as I imagine any insurance agent would be, but we are pretty particular about a lot of the endorsements that you can add to a home policy that kind of get you covered on some of the stuff that is pretty common but doesn't normally get covered unless you pick up that endorsement for it. So a really big one would be water backup for us. That's something that we see a lot in basements. If you have a sump pump issue is generally the biggest cause of it. And if you had a pipe, say, break in a wall, a leak or a frozen pipe covered under regular homeowners, no issues. But if it comes up through a drain or a sump pump specifically in a basement, endorsement you got to carry to be able to cover that type of loss, which is generally pretty big if it's a sump pump. So we had one guy, fairly new house, it was like 2018, shouldn't have issues, moved in, picked up that endorsement, didn't have it on his previous policy, and we had $25,000 on there, pretty nice finished basement. 6 months after he moves in, backup fails. Don't know if they installed it wrong or if the pump was just a bad deal, but floods the whole nice finished basement. Didn't have it before and ended up maxing it out at $25,000 to replace floors and storage, anything else he had down there, which was unexpected and something that wouldn't have been covered 6 months before he talked to us and didn't have it already. So that was one cool one.
Is that something that like they take that, okay, I need $25,000. Is that something that they break down to like a monthly payment, or is it like, hey, this is for the year, and then of course you'd pay it monthly? But what does that look like?
Generally, most people are doing homeowners through escrow either way. So it's an endorsement that's added at a yearly cost, and then depends on how you pay. You can pay it in full. It's just included in the main price. It's not a separate addition that you're making a separate payment on. It's just included in the homeowners, however that's paid.
And then are you guys shopping around insurances, or do you guys use, I know Erie's a big one, and or what is your primary place that you insure with?
Yeah, we are picky about the carriers that we use. Being a brokerage, we could write with a lot of different companies. A lot of your kind of big names, they're captive, and that's the only option they got. But with us, we can write with other ones. Erie is a huge one for us. We love them a lot.
We do too.
What's that?
We do too.
Yes, Erie does great. As far as the coverages, we're just kind of looking for carriers that it's going to be a good experience with. We don't want to sell it something, and even if it's a killer awesome number, sometimes you get what you're paying for on that. So we don't want to put you with a carrier where numbers might be awesome, but we know come claim time, they're going to fight you tooth and nail on this or that. We know the price is going to be obviously a big factor on it. We want to save as much money as we can. But if you're not getting anything for what you're paying for, that's the last thing you want.
And then how about one more story for me?
Yeah.
I like these homeowner stories because it's like it's making me think, like, what do I need to get covered in my house?
Yes. We try to stay away from, I feel like in your industry for sure, the roofing. There's 2 different types of coverages on there for the roof. You got replacement cost or actual cash value. or a payment schedule. That's something to look on your deck pages for. But we try to avoid it like the plague if we can, where it looks like actual cash value, which if you don't know what it is, sounds like whatever it takes to replace a roof. But on that, it is going to be factoring in depreciation for your roof if it gets over a certain age. So if you're over 10 years old or 15 with some companies, you got a $10,000 roof claim. They're going to come out and say, cool, it's 10 grand minus your deductible, $2,000. And then, well, your roof's been up here for 15 years, so we're going to depreciate the value of that for what it cost maybe 15 years ago to put it on there. So 10,000 minus 2 for the deductible, and then we really think it's worth maybe 4 or 5 after that. So then you're just stuck with this big bill. Roof's leaking. What are you going to do? You got to put one on. So that's been a big one that we're always going to do at replacement cost unless there's a circumstance that really, really, really old roof or something in tough condition.
Is there a big price difference between those two?
Generally so. It'll help you out a little bit, but not as much as it's going to cost you in a claim. You're talking, potentially tens of thousands of difference on the size of the roof, so it does matter.
So this is a cool side that probably a lot of people don't get to see, not even people that work here, but is there a difference between other roofing companies and how Andy's takes and deals with claims?
Yeah.
Can you share anything about that?
Yeah, we love it. I feel like in the industry of roofing, there's a lot of them out there. Some of them are fly-by-nighters. Some of them are like you guys, and they're professional, and they're great, and we love it. But for you all, mainly just working with the insurance company, the biggest part is proving to them that there is the damage, if there is some. And you guys do a great job with the pictures, the aerial view. You'll send them a book of here's what's damaged, here's why it's damaged. If you got questions, we'll talk to you about it. We'll work with the insurance company to get it going. Versus some other ones, they did a roof next door, they come, they knock on it. Hey, we think you have hail damage. There's not hail damage. Yeah, file a claim. Just do it. They'll pay for it without ever really determining if it's going to be covered by insurance. It's got to be sudden. It's got to be wind, hail, things you're covered against, not just an old roof. So I feel like you guys do a really great job at advising people on that so that they're not filing claims and thus making stuff go up for something that didn't actually need to get filed too.
We tell people that all the time, like, especially when those storms come through and those door knockers come up and it's file a claim and they'll get on your roof. Like, if you file that claim and you don't have any damage, you're going to pay more. That's just how that works. And I don't think a lot of homeowners know that.
Yeah.
So this could be a selfish plug for you, but what are some things that a homeowner should look out for on that deck that's like, something that you look out? This is a roofing podcast. So like for roofing, like what are some things that they're probably don't know they're not covered for?
Biggest things would be your deductible and then the type of coverage. So like I said, you're wanting replacement coverage on your roof if at all possible. Try to stay away from actual cash value or payment schedule. That's where they're going to kind of factor in that depreciation, not be the full cost of replacing the roof. The other thing we've run into is some companies will do a percentage deductible, which a lot of people don't know exactly what that means looking at a page either. All of ours are going to be flat, so it's going to be whatever it says there, $1,500, $2,500. That's the deductible. It is what it is. And then with other ones, it's generally a 1% deductible or a 0.5% deductible. So on a normal house, if it's a $300,000 house, you've got a 0.5% deductible. Won't be that crazy. But if you've got a $700,000 house and you have a 1% deductible, your deductible is $7,000, and you never looked at it to know. And then it changes as the years go on. They'll change the value of your house to kind of keep up with what it would cost to build it now. So if you've got $7,000 deductible, $700,000 house, and then next year they value it at $750,000, $7,500 deductible, and that'll just keep climbing on you. So could be a lot different than when you first started the policy.
So, and then a lot of homeowners probably have homeowners insurance, including myself. I have it.
Sure,
I don't know.
It's a great idea.
I didn't. But what is it like? Because a lot of people probably think, and I've thought this before too, like, I have my insurance. I don't want to touch it. I have it. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people wouldn't even bring that to you to look at. What does that process look like? Like, do you go over it with homeowners that are looking to switch? And then the next question along with that would be like, I think people might be a little nervous to switch insurance. What if something happens like right in the middle when I'm switching it? Sure. Like, talk to me through that process.
Yeah, as far as the switching in the middle, that part's always going to be, we're going to talk you through that. We're not going to tell you to cancel that coverage until new coverage starts. Don't want a gap in there for the big what if, even if it's just a day.
Yeah.
We'd rather do it straight through. And then for the review stuff on it, I try to be really educational on it because I feel like a lot of the times, most of the time, when you go, you get a quote from an agency, you talk to a guy for a bit, give some details. Sometimes they'll call you back, hit a couple numbers. Here's the price. Here's some of the coverages. Good to go or not. Or you get an email and then you're reading a declarations page or something that might not read super friendly. Some of them are going to make sense. Other stuff you don't know what to look for. And most people do that and then never check it out again, and no one ever took the time to talk to them about it.
Yeah.
So you end up 5 years down the road, maybe it's all kosher and fine there, have a claim, that's when things go wrong. Then you start looking at the policy, and it's kind of already too late at that point.
Yeah.
So trying to take some time, we'll definitely review the policy. If it's something where we can bump the coverages up, we want to be good on numbers as well, but we just don't want you paying, well, it's not that it's cheap with other people either. You're still paying a lot of money for it. So the last thing you want is if there's a claim, there would be a problem or something you didn't know was covered on it.
What have you had any experience with siding?
We had some, yeah.
How does that work? 'Cause siding is different than the roof. Like what do those insurance claims look like? A lot of them it's probably hail or whatnot, but
There's wind or hail would be generally what takes those off. Or there's, I guess, a fire or something that would melt some of it as well. But
don't keep your grills close to your siding.
don't do it. Please move it away. We can move on the brick. But yeah, there's some. It would be generally covered under just a wind or hail claim there. A couple endorsements on that. We do like a roofing siding match type of coverage on a lot of ours as another endorsement, like we kind of talked about earlier.
Explain an endorsement for somebody who doesn't know, like myself, like what that means.
Sure. Sorry. Endorsement. So you have your base kind of home policy that this is what is covered, and this is pretty standard across the board. Some of them fluctuate between companies, but this is generally what you would expect from a home company or an insurance policy. Then an endorsement is just an enhancement or something you can add on to it to say, we don't have coverage for this normally, but I'm changing the policy to add this so that if this happens, it responds to whatever's going on.
Okay.
So in the siding match, for instance, if you had windstorm come through, your house has been there for 15, 20 years, takes off not all the siding, but one section of it on your left side, takes out a pretty good chunk, blows it, destroys it, got to put it back there. There's
no match.
If you try to go get that same siding, even if they do still make it, sometimes it's very faded or it's not the same type of deal. So you can put the same one up there and it's going to look goofy, or they don't make it anymore at all. And then this would give you some additional protection to say we won't just patch that spot and make it look weird forever. We'll just match the rest of it and go ahead and put new siding around.
Nice. So much education today.
Yeah, a lot of endorsements. Like I said, the base stuff there is generally good. It's going to protect against the big losses of a fire or something that's going to be life-ruining and your personal property, and making sure all those limits are enough as well. But a lot of those endorsements is where you get the smaller, still expensive stuff covered.
And then if somebody buys a house, and then you said a lot of the insurance is in escrow, how do people like change companies if they're paying it in that mortgage?
Yeah, pretty simple switch on it. We try to talk them through it as well. But if you're switching mid-year, you can switch at renewal, and sometimes it's more simple. But if you're switching mid-year, we would issue our new policy. We'll get in contact with the mortgage company, send them the new bill for this homeowner's insurance. You'll cancel with your previous homeowner's insurance company. And then it would be nice, because they got paid from escrow as well from the mortgage company, if they could just send it back to them and then be kind of even Steven there. But they would send the check back to you because your name is on it. You would cash it and then just make a one-time payment back to your mortgage company to escrow to make sure you're not short.
Nice.
Because on paper, it'll look like they paid out 2 payments this year. They were only charging you for 1 monthly, so you're just kind of refunding them the difference to make sure that at the end of the year it's all balanced out.
So don't cash that check and go to Golden Corral?
You could. And then at the end of the year, it's kind of the same. You're going to just pay that chunk at the end of the year because they're going to say you're that amount short on your escrow.
Awesome. Is there any other things that homeowners don't know that they should probably know in the insurance game that you think should be common knowledge, but a lot of people don't know what it is? Or
most of it comes from those endorsements. It's also, I feel like a lot of people think their houses, on some of the conversations I've had, will insure a house that hasn't been looked at in 10, 15 years. They've been with the same company. That's great. But we'll look at the coverage amount and they'll say, oh, well, do apples to apples on this. I want to know kind of what, I'm just looking for price. I'm like, well, on homeowners, it's not really apples to apples. We're looking at a policy that's from 10 years ago. No one's touched it. You're insured for $250,000. You have a 4,000 square foot house. You need to be so much higher on that number. We can't even get it down to 250 because it's not doing you any favors. So we're looking at rebuild costs of house, which have obviously changed pretty drastically over the past 5 years, 10 years. So reevaluating those, just make sure you're covered for enough. And you get a lot of the ads, only pay for what you need, save 15% or more, whatever. So it's a very price-driven industry, but what matters is the coverage on it.
You're going for throats right now, bro.
Well,
why don't you say it?
That's just a lot of those things you don't know until you look at it. We're re-chopping that there, checking out the numbers on it, making sure you're actually covered for enough. So really, it's hard to look at a deck page and understand what you're seeing too. Some of it will make sense, but I just look at a review, go over it with somebody, find somebody to take the time. We'll take the time to check out the policies, make sure you actually got what you need.
How does a homeowner get that deck page, or what do you need to look at, and then how can they get it to give it to you?
Yeah, your deck page, generally, if you have your online app with any insurance company, you'll see that in your documents tab there. You can pop that off. A declarations page would be awesome to bring in to review so we can kind of see what the problems are, if there are any, explain those to you. Print that off. You can email it to us, however you want to get it, but something you would always have access to. You can call your insurance company for it, and they'll send it to you right away, too.
Okay. So that's your job, but we're going to reverse back in time.
Great.
To your coffee crossing order. Because that's where we officially met. You came in every day and got 2 undertows. Do you remember this?
I do.
What's your drink of choice these days?
I just had 2 undertows this morning.
Did you really?
Yes, I did. That's my jam. I think that I always had the dream of going into a coffee shop and having, like, oh, I'll take the usual, and they know you. That's great. They do a great job of that there. But I just ordered something that was kind of unique where it wasn't on the menu, and they put a button in the system, and I've got my own button over there now.
I was going to say, you'd pull up in your car back in the day. We'd start them. We'd have them ready for you when you came in the door. So that, and then I did want people to know a little bit about, like, the party. But tell me about the party bus, because that was my favorite era of Austin. You just bought a bus and
rolled it around. We were back in the day, and still really big family, so we were all pretty close to each other too. So thus the friend group is pretty big as well. So I thought, hey, as a kind of a young dumb kid, it'd be cool if we had a bigger van, like a 15 passenger or something, just to be able to do whatever and go to the movies or Kings Island or whatever we wanted to do. So started looking around for one and was just trying to find a regular old van, and started finding buses that were party buses, and they were cheaper than the other ones. I was like, well, if we can do that, we might as well. So went and looked at a couple of them were terrible. One was a pretty good deal, and I bought it, and we rolled it around and just had a ball for a couple summers and hung out and loved it.
I remember that so vividly. It's just like, great, like, this is the coolest dude I've ever met. He's bought a party bus.
It was kind of a fever dream, just a weird whim, but it ended up making sense. I figured, why not? And we used it a lot. I feel like we got our monies out of it and then got out of there.
There you go. How can people reach out to you if everything that we talked about today was like, maybe I should get mine looked at?
Yeah.
How can they reach out to you, and who's the best people that you want to work with?
Yeah, if you can give us a call, we got our office. You can Google us there. It's Innovators Insurance. We got our website. You can go on there and fill out an application if that's easier and you don't have the time to call at work or whatever. But get in touch with us there. You can ask for me on it too. We'll look at them and try to do some reviews on it. And like I said, be the educational piece of it. Talk to you, actually let you know what's covered on it. Do a more in-depth policy review versus just an email back to you with a number that might look better, might look worse, but you don't have a clue what it does. So that's what we're looking for.
Reach out to Austin and the team today. If you're just curious about how could you save money, or maybe you're not covered like you think you are, Andy's Roofing uses your company, and we love them. So reach out to them today. As always, click subscribe and the bell so you know when we post. Connor and Malachi are killing it on the social media team, so go follow us on all the platforms, and we'll see you next time.